starts before the sun. Coffee brewing, day begun. Mist rolls softly through the fields, covering fences, barns and hills. An old mug warms these weathered hands, wild birds awaken all the land. The gravel road beyond the gate still calls my name the same. Some mornings don't need a destination, just a grateful heart. Coffee, grace, and country roads, simple blessings fill my soul. Every sunrise, every mile reminds me life is worth the ride. I don't need the world to know my name. I've already found something greater. Peace, life somewhere between. Coffee, grace, and country roads. Daddy's truck is parked outside, covered in another layer of dust. Mama waves from the porch swing, holding one more cup for me. The church bell echoes through the valley, soft against the morning breeze. Even silence sounds like hope in a place like this. I've learned that happiness rarely arrives in a hurry. Coffee, grace, and country roads, the richest life I've ever known, not measured by the things we own, but by the love that fills this home. Every fence and every field, every prayer before the meal, these ordinary moments are extraordinary gifts. I used to believe the next road held the answer. Now I know the greatest journey is learning to appreciate the life already waiting for you. Coffee, grace, and country roads will always guide me home. Life becomes too loud, these memories become my peace. I'll carry this morning everywhere, like sunlight in my pocket, because the best things I've ever found were never far away. The coffee grew cold, the grace never did. Morning sunlight touched the wheat, rolling gold beneath my feet. The wind moves softly through each row, like heaven breathing through the fields. Daddy paused beside the fence, removed his hat and closed his eyes. Before a single word was said, gratitude had already begun. Some people count what they own, others count what they've been given. These are fields of blessings, growing farther than the eye can see. Every sunrise plants another reason to be thankful for this life. The harvest isn't only in the grain, it's in the hands that sow with faith. Every season leaves behind more blessings than we ever noticed. The old red barn stood quietly, watching another autumn come. Birds circled high above the hills, carried gently by the breeze. Mama waved from the porch again, coffee warming in her hands. The smallest moments somehow held the richest kind of joy. I've learned that abundance isn't measured by how much you gather, but by how deeply you appreciate it. These are fields of blessings, where hope grows with every rain. Every fence and every meadow whispers stories of amazing grace. The world keeps chasing something more, while everything I need is here. Because the greatest treasures can't be bought, only received. The soil doesn't rush the harvest, the seasons don't hurry the sunrise. Maybe faith grows the very same way. These are fields of blessings, stretching far beyond these country roads. Every prayer, every sunrise, every quiet act of love. When tomorrow brings another season, I'll welcome it with grateful hands. Because every field I've ever walked has taught me that grace grows best in thankful hearts. The wind kept moving through the wheat, carrying blessings farther than the eye could see. The rocking chair still faced the fields, just like it always had. The evening breeze moved through the trees, carrying yesterday's peace. Grandpa sat with hands folded, his old hat resting on his knee. He never needed many words. He let silence do the talking. Some of the strongest prayers are whispered when nobody else is listening. Front porch prayers, floating with the summer wind. Simple words from faithful hearts, rising higher than the pines. No fancy speeches, no grand display, just gratitude at the end of the day. I've learned that heaven often feels closer from the front porch. Mama brought 2 cups of coffee, set them gently on the rail. The sunset painted every cloud in shades of mercy and grace. The old wind chimes softly rang, keeping rhythm with the breeze. Even the quiet seemed alive, like the whole world was praying too. Faith isn't measured by how loudly you believe, but by how gently you live. Front porch prayers, teaching lessons words never could. Every sunset brings another chance to thank the one who carried us. The fields may change with every season, the road may call us far away, but the peace we find in moments like these always finds its way back home. I used to think prayer was asking for something. Now I know sometimes it's simply sitting still long enough to notice everything you've already been given. Front porch prayers will follow me wherever I roam. When life grows loud, I'll remember this quiet place. The chair may someday sit empty, the voices may grow still, but the faith they planted here will keep growing long after we're gone. The sun slipped behind the fields, the prayers stayed in the air. Spring taught me how hope begins. Tiny blooms through winter's end. Summer filled the fields with life, golden days beneath blue skies. Autumn painted every tree with colors only time can bring. Even winter's quiet snow carried beauty of its own. Every season changes, grace never does. There's grace in every season, every sunrise, every rain, in the laughter and the heartache. Nothing is ever lived in vain. The harvest and the barren fields, the mountain tops and valleys deep. I've learned that every road we walk is held by faithful hands. There were years of answered prayers. There were nights of silent tears. Some doors open wide with joy, others gently close behind me. Still the morning always came. Still the robins found their song. Every season softly whispered, "You're never walking this alone." The strongest roots don't grow because the weather is easy. They grow because they stay through every storm. There's grace in every season, in every chapter of this life. The sunshine warms, the rain restores, both of gifts to leave behind. If joy can bloom in springtime fields, then hope can bloom in winter too. Because grace has never waited for perfect days. Looking back, I can finally see the prayers that seemed unanswered were often the ones protecting me from roads I was never meant to travel. There's grace in every season, from my first breath to my last. Every blessing, every burden has gently shaped my soul. When tomorrow brings another sky, I'll greet it with an open heart. Because every season has carried me closer to the one who never changes. The seasons kept turning, grace remained. It rested on the old oak table, its leather worn, its pages thin, corners folded, verses underlined, a lifetime written in the margins. Sunday sunlight filled the room, falling softly on its cover. Grandma reached for it each morning before she reached for anything else. Some books tell stories, this one helped write ours. Grandma's Bible still speaks to me in quiet words and simple peace. Every page she turned with care still carries every prayer. It's more than paper, more than ink, more than everything I think. The greatest inheritance she left was the faith she lived, not just the words she read. Pressed between two weathered pages, a dried wildflower still remained. She smiled the day she placed it there, saying, even flowers remember grace. Beside a favorite song she wrote, trust Him even on cloudy days. Those few handwritten words have guided me more times than she'll ever know. She never preached with a loud voice, she taught with the way she loved. Grandma's Bible still rests at home, though Grandma's gone to heaven. When I hold it in my hands, I never feel alone. Every worn and faded page carries hope from yesterday. Some legacies aren't measured by wealth, they're measured by the lives they change. As a child, I wondered why she read the same book every single day. Now I understand. She wasn't searching for new words, she was letting the same truth shape a new day. Grandma's Bible still lights my way, long after her voice grew quiet. Its pages remind me every morning that faith grows one day at a time. When my own hair turns silver and another generation gathers near, I hope they remember me the way I remember her, with grace, an open heart, and an old Bible never far from reach. The pages have grown fragile, the faith inside them never has. These old walls of stories carved into every weathered board. The porch still leans the way it did, held together by love and time. Daddy's hammer hangs out back beside a shelf he built by hand. Every nail and every beam still echoes with his care. The house is built with lumber, a home is built by the hands that never gave up. These are the hands that built this home, strong enough to carry hope, worn by work, softened by grace, always ready to embrace. They planted fields, they fixed old fences, they folded gently in evening prayer. The greatest foundation I've ever known was built by loving hands. Mama stitched old quilts at night, each one sewn with patient love. Grandpa mended broken chairs, saying almost anything can be repaired. Grandma baked another pie, flour dust upon her smile. Every ordinary task became an act of faith. The strongest lessons were never spoken, they were quietly lived. These are the hands that built this home, teaching more than words alone. Hands that lifted when I fell, hands that never let me down. Every scar tells where they've been, every wrinkle learned with love. If kindness had a photograph, it would look like these hands. One day my own hands will grow older, and I pray someone remembers them, not for what they held, but for who they held. These are the hands that built this home, long before I called it mine. They showed me strength without pride, faith without fear. When my journey reaches its evening, may my hands tell the same story, one of grace, hard work, open doors, and a love that always made room for one more. The hands have grown older, the home they built still holds us together. Wandered farther than I planned, chasing roads I couldn't name, thinking I could find myself somewhere beyond the hills. The miles taught me many things, but peace was never found in distance. It quietly waited for the day I'd finally stop running. Grace doesn't chase you, it patiently waits until you're ready to come home. His mercy found me on a road I thought I'd walk alone, not because I earned forgiveness, but because love never gave up. When my strength had almost faded, hope was still calling my name. I wasn't searching anymore. His mercy found me. The old white church stood on the hill, just as it had for all these years. The bell rang through the morning air like it remembered me. Mama's prayers were still alive, though I never heard them spoken. Somehow they had traveled farther than I ever could. The greatest miracles are often the quiet ones, that change your heart without changing the world. His mercy found me in the middle of an ordinary day, through open doors and faithful hearts, through kindness freely given. It wasn't lightning from the sky or a voice upon the wind. It was peace arriving softly, exactly when I needed it. I used to believe I had to find my way back. Now I know love was already walking toward me. Every step of the journey, His mercy found me and gave my restless soul a home. Now every sunrise feels like grace, every breath another gift. If tomorrow brings another road, I'll walk it without fear, because I know no matter where life leads, mercy always knows the way to my heart. I thought I was finding my way home, then I realized home had been finding me all along. I was miles from the county line, another town, another sunrise, different roads beneath my wheels, but the same sky watched over me. A little church stood by the highway, its bell rang through the morning air. For a moment I closed my eyes, and I was back home again. Maybe home isn't measured in miles, maybe it's measured by where your heart finds peace. Home is a prayer away, closer than yesterday. Every whispered word of faith brings me back where grace remains. No matter where these roads may go, or how far this life may lead, I've learned I'll never be alone when home is a prayer away. Mama's voice still echoes softly, drive safe and trust the Lord. Daddy's old advice still rides with me every mile along the way. The little Bible in my truck rests quietly beside the seat, not because I fear the journey, but because it reminds me who's with me. Faith isn't something I left behind, it's the companion that came along for the ride. Home is a prayer away, waiting at the end of every day. In every sunrise through the windshield, in every sunset on the farm. I don't have to see that old front porch to feel its welcome in my soul, because the truest home I've ever known lives inside a grateful heart. The older I become, the more I understand that God's greatest gifts were never just places. They were people who taught me how to find home wherever I am. Home is a prayer away, never farther than my faith. Every road has led me here to this quiet certainty. When the journey finally ends and another road begins, I'll walk it without fear, because I know no matter where I wander, grace will always lead me home. The road stretched far ahead, home was already with me. This old house has weathered storms, paint has faded through the years. The porch still leans a little left, but it stands with quiet pride. Every room still holds a voice, echoes wrapped in laughter's sound. Some memories never leave, they simply learn to whisper. A house gives you shelter, a home gives you roots. We're more than these four walls, more than pictures in the hall. For every lesson passed along, every prayer before the dawn. Love can't be measured by a roof, or counted window pane by pane, because home was never built from wood. It was built from grace. Mama's apron hangs nearby, Daddy's hat is by the door. Grandma's rocking chair still waits, facing fields of golden wheat. The kitchen carries yesterday, fresh bread, coffee, quiet hymns. Every little corner says, you belong here. The strongest foundations aren't poured in concrete, they're poured in kindness. We're more than these four walls, more than memories standing still. We're the hands that held each other when life became too heavy. The roof may someday need replacing, the pain may slowly disappear, the love inside this home will outlive every bore. If these walls could speak, they wouldn't tell stories about perfect people. They tell stories about forgiveness, second chances, shared meals, and unconditional love. We're more than these four walls. We're the hearts that call this home. Every goodbye led back here. Every road found peace again. Long after this old house is gone, its spirit will remain, because the truest homes never disappear. They simply keep living inside the people who were loved there. The walls grew old. The love inside them never did. Morning slipped through lace white curtains, paint and gold across the floor. The coffee's warm, the kettle's singing, just like every Sunday before. Church bells drift across the valley, carried gently on the breeze. Even the birds seem to know today's a slower kind of day. Some mornings don't wake you up, they settle your soul. Sunday morning light shining through these old stained glass dreams. Every golden ray reminds me grace is closer than it seems. No hurry, no heavy heart, just quiet peace from the very start. If heaven leaves a little trace, it looks like Sunday morning light. Mama hums an old familiar hymn while biscuits bake in the oven. Daddy folds his weathered hands, giving thanks before the meal. The old Bible rests upon the table, its pages worn from faithful years. Not because it stayed untouched, but because it was truly lived. Faith isn't always spoken loudly. Sometimes it sounds like kindness. Sunday morning light filling every room with hope. Every smile around this table feels like another answered prayer. The fields outside where morning dew, the sky stretches wide and blue. The greatest gifts I've ever known never came wrapped in gold. One day, these mornings will become memories. The coffee cups, the church bells, the laughter, the quiet prayers, and I'll realize they were shaping my heart all along. Sunday morning light, guide me through the days ahead. When the road grows long, remind me where my strength begins. I'll carry this peace wherever I go, far beyond these country roads, because home isn't only where I was raised. It's the light that still shines inside me. The bells faded into the distance. The peace stayed with me. At the end of an old dirt road, where the wildflowers gently grow, a little white church stands alone, with weathered walls that feel like home. Its wooden steeple greets the sky, while morning bells begin to chime. The paint may fade with passing years, but faith still shines inside. Some buildings are made of wood, others are built with generations of hope. The little white church on the hill still teaches hearts to stand still, where every hymn feels like the sunrise, and every prayer finds its way. You won't find stained glass made of gold, or towering cathedral walls, just open doors, open hearts, and grace enough for everyone. Grandma always took my hand, walking slowly through the aisle. She smiled before she bowed her head, like she already knew peace. The old piano found its song, voices rose in harmony. Even as a little child, I felt something I couldn't explain. Faith isn't something you see sometimes, it's something you remember. The little white church still stands through every season, every storm. It watched little boys become fathers, and little girls become mothers. The names upon those wooden pews have changed through all these years, but the hope inside those walls never has. I've seen bigger churches with taller towers, brighter lights, and louder songs, but nowhere have I ever found a peace like the one I found here. The little white church on the hill will always be waiting for me, not because it needs another visitor, but because it already feels like family. When life leads me down unfamiliar roads, I remember these old wooden doors, because the strongest faith I've ever known was built one quiet Sunday at a time. The bells rang across the valley, and my heart remembered the way home. I've driven roads through distant towns, crossed old bridges, climbed high hills, seen sunsets over different skies, heard 1,000 different songs. Every journey gave me something, every mile helped shape my soul, but every road I've ever loved always pointed back to home. Sometimes we leave, not to escape home, but to understand how precious it really is. The road always leads home, no matter where the tires roll, past the rivers, through the valleys, back to where my story grows. It's more than fields and weathered barns, more than fences painted white. Home is every hand that held me, every prayer that lit my way. The old mailbox still leans a little, the porch light still glows at night. Mama still waves from the doorway, Daddy still whistles in the barn. The little white church still stands, its bell still rings across the hills. Time has changed 1,000 things, but not the peace I find here. The older I become, the more I realize home isn't behind me, it's within me. The road always leads home, even when I cannot see the way. Every lesson, every goodbye brings me closer to who I am. I've chased horizons far away, only to discover this simple truth: the greatest destination was never a place, it was a promise. One day, another generation will follow these same roads. I hope they find what I found: a home built on faith, a family built on grace, and a love that never stops waiting. The road always leads home, through every season of this life. When my journey reaches its final mile, I'll walk it without fear, because I know the road ahead looks a lot like the one behind, filled with grace, filled with hope, and always leading home. The road stretched toward the horizon, my heart already knew the destination. kitchen window caught the light as another evening settled in. The smell of fresh bread filled the house, just like it always had. Mama placed another plate, though no one knew who might stop by. She'd always smile and softly say, "There's always room for one more." The richest homes aren't known for what they serve, but for how they welcome. The table is always set for family, friends, and strangers, yet every chair holds open grace. Every meal becomes a blessing, hands joined together before we ate. Simple words of thankfulness. Love was never something spoken, it was something served. Daddy carved the Sunday roast, Grandma passed the homemade rolls. Children laughed before the prayer, then quietly bowed their heads. Stories traveled round the room, old ones growing just a little bigger. Nobody hurried through the evening, time seemed happy to stay. Hospitality isn't measured by what's on the table, but by what's in the heart. The table is always set, even when the cupboards aren't full, because kindness has a way of multiplying what we have. Every place around this table carries someone's story, and every story reminds us we're never meant to walk through life alone. Years from now, the dishes may be different, the voices may grow quieter, new generations may take these seats, but I hope they always leave one chair open, just in case someone needs a home. The table is always set long before the guests arrive. That's how grace has always worked. Preparing love before we even know we need it. I'll carry this lesson wherever I go. Keep one more chair, pour one more cup, and leave one more light on for someone looking for home. The meal came to an end, the welcome never did. The old oak stood beside the field, older than the house itself. Its branches stretched like open arms, welcoming every passing year. I carved my initials there at 12, Daddy smiled and shook his head. Trees remember more than people, he softly said that day. Some roots grow beneath the ground, others grow inside the heart. Under the old oak tree, life always made more sense to me. The wind carried every prayer, the shade carried every dream. Through every season, through every storm, it quietly stood where it belonged, teaching me that strength can be gentle. Grandma spread an old quilt there, Sunday afternoons in spring. Children chased each other laughing while the grown-ups shared their stories. The old swing still hung from one limb, moving softly with the breeze. Even after all these years, it still knew how to welcome us. The strongest things in life don't grow overnight, they grow one faithful season at a time. Under the old oak tree, we learned what really mattered. Family gathered shoulder to shoulder while the world hurried somewhere else. No riches hanging from its branches, only memories too precious to lose. And somehow that was more than enough. One day, someone else will sit beneath these leaves, listening to stories they've never heard before. And without knowing it, they'll become part of the story too. Under the old oak tree, I'll always find a part of me. When life feels uncertain, I'll remember these steady roots. The years may bend these branches, the seasons may paint them new, but the love that grew beneath this tree will keep growing long after we're gone. The wind moved gently through the leaves, and the old oak kept every secret forever. The evening settled on the porch, golden light across the fields. The old swing moved beneath the breeze, like it knew the day was done. Mama smiled and poured one last coffee. Daddy leaned against the rail. No one spoke for quite a while. Some moments are too full for words. Every journey has an ending. Every ending carries the promise of another beginning. Until we meet again, may grace walk in sunrise, and peace be waiting every night. May your hands always find good work, may your heart always find its way home. And wherever life may lead you, may love arrive before you do. The little white church stood quietly, its bell echoed through the valley. The old oak tree held the evening wind, just as it had for generations. Children laughed beyond the fence, fireflies welcomed coming night. Life kept moving gently on, exactly as it should. The greatest legacy isn't what we leave behind, it's the love we leave within others. Until we meet again, carry kindness everywhere you go. Leave every place a little warmer than the way you found it. Keep one more chair around the table, one more light beside the door, because someone, somewhere, will need a place to call home. If these songs have taught me anything, it's that home is more than a place. Faith is more than words, and grace is more than a moment. It's the quiet thread that holds an entire life together. Until we meet again, I'll remember every mile we've shared. The country roads, the small town stories, the lonely nights, the bonfire skies. Every journey led me here, to a home built on faith, a heart filled with gratitude, and a life forever changed by grace. Until we meet again, may the road rise gently beneath your feet. May the light always find your window, and may you never forget where grace lives. The porch light stayed on, the front door stayed open, the road stretched toward tomorrow, and grace walked with me all the way home. Morning mist lay on the fields, soft as a whispered prayer. The old white church stood quietly, wrapped in golden morning light. A robin sang from the fence post, the wind moved gently through the pines. Nothing seemed extraordinary, yet everything felt holy. Sometimes heaven doesn't feel far away. Sometimes it feels like an ordinary morning. When heaven feels close, you can almost hear the silence sing. Every sunrise carries mercy. Every breath becomes a gift. No thunder rolling through the sky, no miracles for all to see, just quiet grace. Finding ordinary people on ordinary days. Mama smiled across the porch, coffee warming in her hands. Daddy tipped his weathered hat before walking toward the barn. Children laughed beyond the gate, their voices floating through the breeze. The world kept turning as it should, and somehow that was enough. I've spent years searching for signs, only to discover they were all around me. When heaven feels close, even the smallest things shine brighter. A family gathered around the table, a hymn softly carried by the wind. The fields sway like quiet worship, the bells ring across the valley. Maybe heaven touches earth more often than we ever notice. It wasn't on the mountaintops or in the loudest moments that I found the deepest peace. It was here in the stillness where gratitude quietly became faith. When heaven feels close, fear quietly loses its voice. Hope rises with the morning sun, and love finds its way back home. If tomorrow brings another storm, I'll remember this peaceful place, because once you felt this kind of grace, you never walk alone again. The church bells faded into the breeze. The peace stayed with me. The old dirt road still knows my name, though years have come and gone. The front porch light was glowing soft, like it had never been turned off. The screen door sang the same old tune as I stepped inside once more. The smell of fresh coffee filled the air, and somehow so did peace. Some roads take you around the world, the best ones bring you home. This is where grace lives, in these quiet country fields, and every sunrise through the pines, and every prayer whispered before the day begins. It's in these worn-out wooden floors, these open hearts, these open doors. I searched so far to find my place, only to discover Grace had been waiting here all along. Mama smiled from the kitchen window, Daddy waved from the old red barn. Nothing looked much different, and somehow everything had changed. The old porch swing still creaked, just like it did when I was 10. Funny how a little sound can carry you across a lifetime. Home isn't where life stands still, it's where your soul finally catches up. This is where grace lives, not in riches or grand dreams, but in warm hands around the table, and laughter filling every room, in Sunday hymns and evening skies, and every tear and every smile. The greatest blessings often grow in the smallest places. I spent years chasing horizons, only to realize the greatest journey was finding my way back to the people who never stopped praying for me. This is where grace lives, in every season of this life. When the storms arrive, this house still stands. The world may call me far away, but my heart will always know there's one place where love asks for nothing, where faith needs no explanation, and where grace will always welcome me home. The porch light stayed on, not because it expected me, but because it never stopped believing